Hey guys, it's Cream, aka Miss Cream of the Crop, and welcome to my Cream Talk. This is my first Clubhouse room that I've hosted, and I'm nervous, but it feels great. So I thank you guys for being here, and I appreciate it. So let's just get right into it. I'm gonna go ahead and start this out on a familiar note. So Usher had Confessions, Jay-Z had 444, Beyonce had Lemonade, and Janae Aiko had, well, all of her albums. I'm sure you get where I'm coming from, but this is Cream Talk or my coffee with cream. This is my album. And yes, my album has a bit of cheating, lies, trauma, and redemptions. So while overcoming, I eventually learned to win while I wait. So most of you might be here because you want to know how to win while you're waiting. However, I'm almost certain you're here to be nosy, but well, we'll just call it curiosity. I've always been the inquisitive type, but never nosy. I love learning about new things, but honestly, I could care less about someone's personal business just for the sake of knowing. And my family business was and is family business. So I guess that made me become a super private individual. Being private made me less nosy. And I figured if I don't ask you about your life, you won't ask me about mine. So that was okay with me. If you volunteered your business, then that's on you because I'm still not going to tell you mine, but your secrets are safe with me. The irony is that I never learned how to let anyone in, but I expected them to understand me, know where I came from, and relate to me just because I was a good person. I eventually learned to share, but not enough for people to relate to me, just enough for them to know that I was human. However, if you ever crossed the line, I cut you off and I kept it pushing. I learned that that's not a good thing to do, but it is something that I did. It's something that I had to work on. And the problem I started facing was everyone around me started being or falling by the wayside. I was hurt, I was confused, and I was angry. Like, how could all these people that I've done so much for do this to me? Don't they see how hard I go for them? Don't they see how loyal I am? Don't they see, like, how could they do this to me? So, when all of this was happening, I wasn't as aware of myself as I am now. Despite my high IQ, I had a lot to learn. And we'll come back to the lessons, but let's talk about winning while I waited and how that statement had a different meaning through each stage of my life. So when I was younger, I was the kid who never got in trouble. I followed the rules and I did what I was told. The few times that I did get in trouble, I would try to talk and explain my way out of it. I perfected my negotiating skills early. So the win was figuring out that doing my chores, being obedient, and doing well in school gave me rewards. It made me a trustworthy child. I had unlocked the door to adults. Do what you're told, and they'll give you what you want. I mean, that seemed pretty simple. the wait. The wait was doing homework, excelling in school, completing all my chores, extracurricular activities, and being respectful. The win in all of that was big allowances, getting my own phone line. You know, back in the day, you could get your own phone line. You was hot shit back then. The ability to hang out with my friends, and the biggest win was getting my first car at 14. It was a black sports car. Now, I never snuck my car out. To be honest, I never snuck out of the house at all. My friends told me I was crazy and what they would be doing if they had a car. And the key word in that sentence is the word if. I say that because if means they didn't have a car. And the reason they didn't have a car is because they would sneak out. That's not winning while you wait behavior. I waited and asked permission because the win was driving wherever the hell I wanted to go without guilt. I don't like to feel guilt at all. It's one of the reasons that I am an upfront and honest person. I would rather deal with the consequences head on than have to deal with guilt. That's just something I don't like. So hopefully you're starting to visualize how all of this is shaping me into being the adult that I am today. So from the outside looking in, I was a girl who had everything: cute clothes, a car, and the ability to do whatever I wanted. So, of course, some animosity, the bullies, and the negativity came along with that. But what they didn't see was the girl whose father passed away when she was 8 years old. So she had to help her mom with her brother and sister while maintaining good grades, keeping up with all of my extracurricular activities, and attending church 4 times a week. And that was mandatory. Okay, that's another cream talk, but church was mandatory. My mom had a really good job that paid very well, but she was a single mom whose time was divided between work, church, and her 3 children. So they wouldn't know any of that because what happens in the family stays in the family. And they, meaning the people on the outside looking in. My life was private. I smiled while driving my 2-seater every time I had to pick up my sister from school, my brother from football practice, or any other to-dos my mom gave me because I was happy just to be driving. Driving was a privilege that I learned in private. So now we're going to fast forward to adulthood. Well, young adulthood. I knew what I wanted at a young age. I wrote out business plans, designed my house, and planned my wedding when I was in the 6th grade. Yes, the 6th grade. My teacher gave us an assignment and asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I came back with a folder with at least 10 loose leaf papers in it, clamped in the middle. I had designed my house with all the measurements, what color was going to be, the type of glass, how many rooms, how many bathrooms, the different types of rooms that were in the house. I had my wedding dress designed. I knew what fabric I wanted. I knew what I wanted my bridesmaids to wear. I knew what I wanted to do as far as my business. At the time, I wanted to be an architectural engineer. I came with the full business plan. At the time, I didn't realize it was a business plan, but looking back, it was a business plan. It was a life plan. So I knew early on that I wanted to be my own boss, or at least have a career where I could dress well, have my own desk and office, and be the boss. I also knew that I would have to have my children young or not at all. At the time, I wasn't aware that you could get married and choose not to have kids, but I didn't know that. And I also thought you couldn't have kids if you weren't married. And that goes back to the mandatory church 4 times a week. So I knew I wanted to get married one day, and I knew that that meant children. So I also knew that I wanted 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl. So fast forward a little bit in life, I became a mom at a young age, not 6th grade, not 6th grade. Okay. But I was young and I got married at a young age. I had a girl and a boy, and that was just what I manifested. Then came another boy, and 5 years after that, another girl. So I had 2 sets of what I wanted. And when I started college, I was already a mom and a wife. And I thank goodness for honors classes because I graduated high school with college credits. So I was already 2 years in when it came to school. So grateful for that. So I was a mom, wife, full-time student, and a full-time job. And I had a full-time job. So from the outside looking in, people only saw the marriage, the car, and the zip code that I lived in. But let me pause for a second. A lesson that I learned is that in between waiting and winning are seasons. A waiting season, a season of lows, a season of super lows, a season of highs, a season of super highs, and a season of winning. So back to my life. I just want to tell you guys that really quickly. But I never could have imagined how much animosity other women could have towards you just because of a wedding ring. But it also never dawned on me that most of them were young like me and probably going through phases with F-boys. And here I am with this shiny ring and hyphenated last name. And how could I know what they were dealing with? Because again, your business is your business and mine is mine. I remember an ex-friend stopped talking to me. A lot of shade was thrown leading up to our friendship breakup. I was baffled at the shade and hurt that our friendship ended, but also relieved of being let off the roller coaster. But she later reached out to me and confessed that she was envious of my relationship